The rain had started as a whisper, soft against the pavement, but by the time Elias reached the bus stop, it had turned into a steady, soaking curtain. He shifted the weight of his sleeping daughter in his arms, careful not to wake her. Her small fingers were curled into his jacket, as if even in sleep she feared he might disappear. "Just a little longer, Mira," he murmured, though she couldn't hear him. The bus was late. Again. Elias leaned against the cold metal pole, exhaustion pressing into his bones. His day had begun before sunrise and stretched endlessly through work, daycare pickup, grocery lines, and now this. His reflection in the darkened glass nearby looked older than 32. Lines he didn't remember earning had settled across his face. "You look like you haven't slept in weeks." The voice startled him. He turned to see a woman standing a few feet away, holding an umbrella that seemed just large enough for one. She stepped closer without hesitation, angling it so it covered him and Mira too. "Thanks," he said quietly. She studied him, not rudely, but carefully, as if she were reading something written beneath his skin. "She's beautiful," the woman said, nodding toward Mira. Elias smiled faintly. "She is." A moment passed. The rain filled the silence between them. "You know," the woman said gently, "you deserve someone better." Elias blinked, unsure he'd heard correctly. "I'm sorry?" She didn't flinch. "Someone who helps. Someone who stays. Someone who doesn't leave you carrying everything alone." For a second, irritation flickered in him. A stranger, making assumptions. But it faded just as quickly, replaced by something heavier, recognition. He let out a slow breath. "Maybe," he said. She tilted her head, waiting. Elias looked down at Mira, brushing a damp curl from her forehead. Then he said, quietly but firmly, "She already has someone better." The woman frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" He met her gaze. "Me." The words hung in the air, simple and unadorned, yet full of something unshakable. The woman's expression shifted, not offense, not surprise, but something softer. Something like understanding. "You're not wrong," she said after a moment. The bus headlights appeared in the distance, cutting through the rain. Elias adjusted his grip on Mira, preparing to board. But the woman spoke again. "What's her favorite story?" Elias hesitated. "There's one about a fox who thinks he's lost, but he's actually finding his way home." She smiled faintly. "That sounds like you." Before he could respond, the bus pulled up with a hiss. The doors opened. Elias climbed aboard, glancing back once. The woman stood there, still under her umbrella, watching them. Then the doors closed, and she disappeared into the blur of rain. Over the next few days, Elias couldn't shake the encounter. It wasn't what she said, that part he understood. People often assumed things about single parents. They saw struggle and filled in the blanks with pity. But it was the way she said it. And the way she listened to his answer. That stayed with him. On Thursday evening, he found himself taking a different route home. It wasn't deliberate, not exactly, but somehow his feet carried him back to the same bus stop. The sky was clear this time. The pavement still held the memory of rain. And she was there. Same umbrella, folded now at her side. "You came back," she said, as if she'd expected it. Elias let out a small laugh. "Looks like I did." Mira was awake this time, perched on his hip, blinking curiously at the stranger. "Hello," the woman said softly to her. Mira hid her face in Elias's shoulder. "She's shy," he explained. "She's observant," the woman corrected gently. They stood in silence for a moment. "I didn't mean to offend you the other night," she said finally. "You didn't," Elias replied. "Not really. But I assumed things." "Everyone does," he said. "It's easier than asking." She nodded, accepting that. "Why did you say it?" he asked. "That I deserve someone better." The woman looked out at the road, where cars passed in a steady rhythm. "Because I used to be the person who left," she said. Elias felt something shift inside him. I walked away from someone who needed me, she continued. I told myself it was complicated, that I had my reasons. But the truth was, I was afraid of how much I mattered to them. She glanced at Mira, then back at Elias. Seeing you that night, holding everything together, it reminded me of what I ran from. Elias didn't know what to say. I don't know if that makes me a terrible person or just a human one, she added quietly. Probably both, Elias said, not unkindly. She let out a small, surprised laugh. That sounds about right. The bus arrived again, but neither of them moved right away. Do you regret it? Elias asked. Every day, she said. But regret doesn't fix anything. It just lingers. Mira shifted in his arms, now watching the woman with cautious curiosity. What's your name? Elias asked. Lena, she said. I'm Elias. I know, she replied. He frowned slightly. You do? She hesitated, then reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small, worn photograph. She handed it to him. Elias looked down, and his breath caught. It was an old picture. Him, younger, standing beside a woman he hadn't thought about in years. They were laughing at something outside the frame. Where did you get this? He asked, his voice tight. Lena met his eyes. She was my sister. The world seemed to narrow. Elias looked from the photo back to Lena, searching her face, and suddenly, he saw it. The resemblance he hadn't noticed before. She never told me she had a sister, he said. She didn't tell me about you either, Lena replied softly. Not until it was too late. 1,000 questions rushed through him, but none of them found their way out. I didn't come looking for you, Lena continued. Not at first. But when I found out about Mira, I needed to see for myself. Elias tightened his hold on his daughter. She loved you, Lena said. Even after she left. He closed his eyes briefly, the past pressing in on him. Why are you here? He asked. Lena took a slow breath. Because I couldn't change what I did, she said. But maybe I could do something different now. Elias looked at her for a long moment. Rain began again, light at first, like a memory returning. He stepped slightly closer, so the three of them stood beneath the umbrella together. You don't get to fix everything, he said. I know. But you can stay, he added. Lena's eyes filled, just slightly. I'd like that, she said. The bus came and went. And for the first time in a long while, Elias didn't feel like he was carrying everything alone.